Hey Jamirah, and if I have already screwed up your name, I apologize in advance. So, looking over your question here, and I'm going to start by taking you into the Tri-C Library website. So, again, if you haven't been here yet, Google Tri-C Library, click the first link it gives you. It's going to land you on this page. And once we're here, we're going to click on Research Guides. Once you're in the Research Guides, you're just going to scroll down to Psychology, and then we're going to click into this guide. And the resource that I'm going to go into first is APA Psych Info. In the video that I posted to your class a little while ago, this was the second resource that I showed you. And if you're logging in from home, it might ask for your S number and password. So before I start, showing any searches here, first thing we're going to do is go up here to where it says APA Thesaurus of Psychological Index Terms. This is the fancy way of saying, we're going to search the master list of terms. So I'm just going to open this up here. So, if we wanted to look for cognitive development, we're just going to type that in, hit browse. So the good news is, this is an official subject term. And, if we wanted to, we could just click the checkbox, click add, it pops it up there. And then when we tell the database, hey database, find every article with the subject term of cognitive development, it'll go, sure, John, here's 31,000 different results. But what you can do while you're on that page is you can actually take a minute and drill down a little bit. So if we said cognitive development and we click on it instead, so you see where it says narrower terms? Under narrower terms, so the subsets of cognitive development according to the database are intellectual development, language development, and perceptual development. So rather than looking at that big broad umbrella term, we could look at, a subset instead. And, if you click into these, so acquisition of the rules governing the structure of language and meaning. So, this way, if you wanted to, you can get a little more specific. And again, under narrower terms, so there's language delay, reading development. So there's different ways that you can drill down here. If I go back to my original list there, and I look at, click the wrong one there. So if I look at intellectual development instead, under there's conservation, there's object permanence. So, if I did object permanence, it would basically be like, Billy is an infant and, Dad has a little squeaky duck and Billy loved the squeaky duck. And he's learning that even when his dad covers the duck with his hat, he still knows that duck is under there. Or maybe he doesn't, depending on how far along his grasp of object permanence is. So, you can use these subject terms to drill down a little bit if you want to. So, armed with that, so we know that cognitive development is a subject term. And what we can do is we can either, click those check boxes and click add, or you can take control and just say cognitive development in the subjects. So, again, if you want to start big and broad, you've got about 30-some thousand results there. But if you wanted to, you can say cognitive development and play. And, by getting a little more picky, by getting a little more specific, you're definitely going to drop things down a little bit. So as we start looking at these things, we see computer games, we see games, we see childhood play behavior. And if one of these really jumps out at you and you go, ooh, that sounds exactly like what I want. All right, well, so we highlight it, we copy, we paste it in there, and we say subject. And then we click search. So you can modify these based on, the kinds of things that you see popping up in those subjects, because there's not one right way or wrong way to use this. So once we're here, we definitely need to remember to click linked full text. And we need to look at things that are published recently enough that they are not irrelevant. So let's say 2018 to present. Okay, so by doing a little bit of hunting, adding one more word and saying it needs to be a subject tag, by saying linked full text in 2018 to present, we've gone from 30,000 to 36. So, if you had said language development instead, right? And we're leaving that as a subject term. So, that's still a pretty substantial number of results. But so like what about language development do we care about? Do we want to look at literacy? Do we want to look at reading comprehension? So, think of specific examples. If you're trying to think of specific examples and you're having kind of a hard time, you can click on these subjects and see if anything pops up. So, for example, so I'm on the second one. So instead of major heading, it just says subject. I'm going to click on show more. So, we've got vocabulary, we've got oral communication, there's syntax, there's monolingualism. So, if any of these kind of pop out at you as like really, really good examples that you could use, then you can just click the box and, there's your example. So I'm going to go ahead and say vocabulary. So update my results. So now I've got 117. And if I wanted to look at a specific age range, so, if I'm looking at, say preschool age kids, now I've got 62. And things are going to be a little more homogeneous here. They're going to be less all over the place this way. And, some of them are still going to be a little weird, a little disjointed, but more likely than not, you're going to be able to find some things that you'll be able to use here. And, if it turns out that you're seeing a lot of like bilingualism in here, so we can just add another term like monolingualism. So, if you really only care about, English-speaking children, monolingualism, we know it's a subject term, we hit search. And then we're just going to go back and make sure that under subject, we're just going to find wherever vocabulary is now, and we're going to click it. So it's going to sort this by alphabetical. So it looks like now vocabulary has a whopping 2. So, like I said, there's not one wrong way or right way to do this, but that way, hopefully that'll give you some pointers on teasing things out a little bit. So use that thesaurus of psychological index terms. Try to think of specific examples that fall under cognitive development rather than shooting for that big, broad term. And again, the more picky you can be, the more specific you can be, the less stuff you're going to have to look through, but hopefully the more relevant it's going to be as well. So as far as citations go, if you're using the library databases, which, that's kind of the goal here, if you click on the title, over on the right-hand side, you're going to see a toolbar. So you can email these to yourself. You can get a permanent link that'll take you right back to this page. But for right now, if all you want is the citation, you just click on the thing that says Cite. You scroll down to APA, and that is your citation for this particular article. To access the entire article, you're just going to click on either HTML full text or PDF full text, and that'll open up the entirety of the article. So I hope that helps. If you have other questions, check back in, and we'll see what we can do. All right, good luck.